What happens when the two largest economies in the world try to join forces through a trade deal? In theory, prosperity. In reality, controversy, nationalism, and collapse. In this video, I will be diving into the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership, or TTIP, which was a proposed free trade agreement between the United States and the European Union. I will ask, why did it fail, and how can the theory of realism in international relations help explain it? Stick around to the end for a critical take on whether realism really takes the whole story. The TTIP was a proposed free trade agreement meant to eliminate tariffs, harmonize regulations, and increase market access between the US and the EU. Imagine one integrated transatlantic market, powerful, seamless, and efficient. If signed by both parties, it would have integrated the world's two largest economies to unprecedented extents. Additionally, the European Council in 2019 stated that the response to a successful free trade agreement between the EU and the US may have also influenced a global reaction in furthering economic liberalism and integration, specifically among Western countries. Negotiations began in 2013 with lofty goals, but by 2019, it was dead. So what happened? Let's bring in a powerful theory of international relations. Realism. Realism is all about power. First, realists prioritize the idea of a state, that they are the primary actors on the international and national scene. They are self-interested, power-hungry, and obsessed with survival. Cooperation is unlikely, it's risky because it might weaken a state's sovereignty or security. Realism implemented would result in states engaging in policies that work to both booster the industry in the home state while also hurting its competitors' industry. A direct example would be the use of tariffs on competitors in a specific industry and economic stimulus bills in the state for the same industry. Additionally, realism opposes the two other significant theories of international relations. These are liberalism and idealism, due to the fact that these theories generally support cooperation between countries. A key idea in realism is a security dilemma. When one country becomes stronger, others feel threatened and respond in kind, escalating tensions, not reducing them. The TTIP, while promoted as economic cooperation, was seen through a realist lens as a political threat to sovereignty and control. And then came President Trump, whose foreign policy was noted as being branded as America First, which resulted in tariffs and skepticism toward international institutions, as well as continuing the bipartisan effort for an expansive military. From a realist perspective, both the US and the EU were acting exactly as realism predicts, protecting national interest above all else. The US feared economic integration would hurt domestic industries. American labor unions warned of job losses. Politicians worried about losing leverage over regulation. In Europe, it was chaos. Protesters claimed that the TTIP would lower food standards, destroy small business, and allow U.S. corporations too much control. Both sides were stalled. They saw negotiations as a zero-sum game. If one side won, the other must lose, which is not exactly the fertile ground for cooperation. But realism does not explain everything. Realism focuses on state actors. But the TTIP collapse was also driven by non-state forces, like public opinion, NGOs, the media, and civil society. There was also a significant lack of transparency within the negotiations. That triggered widespread backlash. And what about institutions like the World Trade Organization, or the challenges of aligning EU and US regulatory systems? Realism gives us a piece of the puzzle, but not the whole picture. So why did the TTIP fail? Realism shows us how states prioritize sovereignty and security, and that was a major reason, but it wasn't the only one. Public opinion, transparency concerns, and international complexity played just as an important role. In the end, realism helps us understand state behavior, but to really understand 21st century politics, we need a more nuanced lens. So, what do you think? Was realism the main reason that the TTIP failed, or are we giving it too much credit to power politics?